Haynes is a Republican strategist, president of Purple Strategies. He's in Washington, D.C. tonight. Bruce, let me just stay with Mitt Romney for a second. The more Mitt Romney talks, the more he becomes public, doesn't he just help Donald Trump?
That's certainly what you might think, John. And thanks, it's an honor to be with you. Yeah, I mean, if the Donald Trump campaign is feeding off of this anger at the establishment and the perceived failure of Washington to really deliver on promises, just, is there a bigger, better, stronger embodiment of the establishment than Mitt Romney, the party's last nominee, who actually failed to defeat the Democrat, and therefore kind of embodies that Republican failure to stop the things that are concerning all these Trump voters.
And Bruce, you told Politico that you don't remember anything like this in your lifetime in the Republican Party, that people have actually called you in tears over Trump's rise to stardom lately.
I think people, you heard it just in Michael's report, John, people are kind of beside themselves because they don't feel like they have a good choice. On the one hand, if you're a conservative and you care deeply about things like the human life issue, religious freedom issues, the Second Amendment, you don't want to give Hillary Clinton the opportunity to put 2 or 3 justices on the Supreme Court and change the trajectory of those issues, for 20 years. On the other hand, you see some of this rhetoric coming out of the Trump campaign and coming out of Donald Trump and coming out of his failure to adequately deal with simple questions like whether or not you denounce the KKK. You don't want to vote for Donald Trump either. It's an impossible choice for a lot of voters, and they're really torn.
For the GOP establishment, it would seem that Super Tuesday was just a disaster. Not only did Trump do well, but Ted Cruz, the kind of thorn in the side of Republicans on the Hill, is the only other candidate out there that appears that could beat him. So what does all this mean for the party?
Well, for those who have been concerned about the rise of Ted Cruz, I think some of those people in the establishment may now be moving to the space where the enemy of your enemy is your friend. We heard Senator Lindsey Graham from my home state of South Carolina, certainly an establishment figure in the Republican Party, now saying, hey, we may have to rally around Ted Cruz if we're going to stop Donald Trump, and I would consider doing that. I think one of the biggest problems the establishment has is there are too many strategies that people are avowing, a contested convention, keep these candidates in the race, narrow these candidates to one in the race. And until there's some coalescence, I think, of the strategic viewpoint, Donald Trump is going to continue to roll on.
Bruce, you got disenfranchised voters angry, and they're concerned about a party identity crisis. It almost sounds like the 1960s when conservative Barry Goldwater emerged as the nominee in 1964. You see any comparisons here?
I think nothing's ever exact, John, but I think you nailed it. There are a lot of comparisons here. Think about how our society was changing in the 60s and our economy and the pace of that change. It was rapid. We're seeing that same kind of lightning pace of change in our economy with things like closing of low-wage manufacturing and textile jobs here in the United States, but also in our culture with the wave of immigration that's come on, with the changes that we've seen on some social issues. And these voters are angry because they have sort of expected the Republican Party to stand up for their economic interests, for the interest on these social issues. They don't believe they succeeded. They believe they've kind of abandoned that call, if you will, and Donald Trump is their vessel for fighting back right now.
Bruce Haynes, it's good to see you again. Thanks very much.